Hi, thanks for joining me today. There's a lot going on this Wednesday at noon, but I thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to make cauliflower rice and make it into a Southwestern burrito bowl. So I thought this would be fun to do because a lot of people are curious about cauliflower rice. Maybe you've bought the frozen kind, but I'm going to show you how to make it really easily so you can save some money and make it fresh, and it's going to taste delicious. So you want to start out with a head of cauliflower and some other ingredients that you'll need to make the bowls are some fajita vegetables. So you could use anything like onions, peppers, zucchini, mushrooms. I'm going to use sliced onions and sliced bell peppers. And then to top the bowls, we're also going to have some beans. So I have some black beans, or you could use pinto beans, and I'm going to season those with some onions and cumin. And then I'm going to use garnishes of avocado, cilantro, lime, and some green salsa. Just use whatever salsa you like best. It could be a red salsa or a green salsa. So let's get started by making our cauliflower rice. And while the cauliflower rice is sauteing in a pan, I'm actually going to roast the vegetables in the oven. You could also saute those on the stovetop. I'm just going to do it to multitask and put the fajita veggies in the oven while the cauliflower rice is sauteing. So to make the cauliflower rice, I'm going to cut right through the middle of the cauliflower. Now you can see the core. And then I'm going to put the flat side down and cut through one more time, and then just cut a little bit of the core off, that bottom part that has all the leaves on it. And I'm trying to keep these pieces together as much as I can because it'll help with the grating of the cauliflower. So just kind of cut out that core. If there's any stray leaves, you can take those off. And now I'm going to start making the rice. You could also use a food processor, but I find that to just be an extra step, an extra thing to clean, whereas the grater is very easy. I have an OXO brand grater that I like a lot. Just make sure you have a very sharp grater, otherwise this will be difficult to do. And use the big setting, the big holes. And maybe it's best to grate the flower part first. I was kind of grating the stems first, but it might be easier to grate the flowers first. And you'll see in just a minute that this is going to make kind of like a rice shape. And I've actually made cauliflower rice a couple different ways. Sometimes I've sauteed it on the stove top. Sometimes I have roasted it in the oven. Sometimes I squeeze water out of it. Sometimes I don't bother doing that. So it's not a very exact science making this cauliflower rice. The main thing is that you want to get nice small pieces. And I find that it's actually easier to control the size of the cauliflower rice if you grate it by hand, whereas in the food processor it could be a little bit more difficult to get the size you want. It might get too mushy, almost become like a paste if you grind it too long. So if you do it in the food processor, you'll want to pulse it rather than blend it. So I think I'm just going to do half of the cauliflower today. I'm going to preheat my pan right now over medium or medium-high heat. So I know it's Valentine's week. Valentine's Day is coming up soon. I don't know if you're planning to make something special. You should treat yourself to something special. We haven't put much thought into it yet, but I was making a beet salad last week, and I thought, I should have sliced those beets and used heart cookie cutters to make the salad, but I forgot. Okay, let's see. I want to kind of capture everything that's in here. Maybe I can use my knife. And here we go. We have the cauliflower rice. You can go ahead and grate your whole cauliflower if you want, or you can save the rest of your cauliflower to make something else like a soup or some roasted cauliflower florets. But this should be plenty for what I'm making today. If you see any big pieces, you can take them out or put them to the side. And I'm actually going to move this to the side real quick. And let's see. I'm going to need to do two different things here. I need to put before I start doing the cauliflower rice, I think I will put the fajita veggies, which is some sliced onion and some sliced bell pepper. I'm going to put those into a bowl and drizzle them with some olive oil and salt. Toss these a little bit. And I have a couple of sheet pans that I prepared. I may only need one though. I'll put some salt. Got some nice sea salt here. Somebody was asking me the other day what kind of sea salt I'm using. My friend Annie was asking me, and I've been using the Eden brand of sea salt that I think comes from the North Atlantic, from the coast of France, that has been really, really good. It has a lot of moisture in it, which I like in a sea salt. It's easy to pick up. I'm going to put a little bit of freshly ground black pepper. And again, you could sauté these in a hot pan, but since I'm going to be working with the cauliflower, I thought it would be better just to have these on their own, and I'll check on them from time to time in the oven. Okay, so I'm going to put these in a 400 to 425 degree oven. And now, does that work? Pan is still nice and hot. I'm going to start sauteing the cauliflower. And you don't have to rush this quite as much if you're doing this at home, but since I can do a few things at the same time, we'll do that to save time here. And generally, I like to think of, I was going to put some onions in here, but I forgot, so it's fine. What I was going to say is I like to think about how I can plan out the meals so that everything is done at the right time. I don't have some things that are waiting at the very end to finish. So I try to think of what's going to take the longest amount of time to cook and start that first. Do most of the prep ahead of time if I can, so that it goes smoothly. So one thing you can do if you want some extra flavor is you can put saute some onion first, and then you could put some of that onion in the beans, and you could put some of it into the cauliflower. But a lot of people like to make it a little bit more plain too. So this is totally fine. You could also season the cauliflower rice with a little bit of garlic or garlic powder or taco seasoning. I was going to put a little taco seasoning in, or I might put a little taco seasoning or chili powder on the veggies when they come out. So you can see a lot of steam is rising from the cauliflower. Add a little bit of salt, that'll make a little more moisture come out. Another thing I could have done is put the cauliflower in a towel kind of before I started cooking it to get some of the moisture out. But I think for this recipe it works well just to saute it. So it really does end up looking a little bit like rice. And I got some beans here, but I really wanted to put some onion in my beans, so I think I'll saute a little bit of onion and then I'll put the beans with it. Black beans or pinto beans go really well with this for the Southwestern theme. Maybe put just a little bit of taco seasoning in here. It'll make it look a little bit like Spanish rice. And as you know, cauliflower really doesn't have very much flavor on its own, so adding seasoning to it can be nice. If you have any of your cauliflower rice left over, I would freeze it in like a freezer bag when it's raw. If you cook it first and then try to store it, it's not going to be as good. Or if you leave it raw in the refrigerator, it's not going to be as good. It has a lot of sulfur compounds in it. It just doesn't work very well. So I think this is about done. And I'm going to turn this off and start working on the beans. This will just take a few minutes. And I don't know if you've tried making bowls before, but this is just some diced onion, and I'm going to add a little garlic as well. But I think bowls are really fun to make. I love all the different colors you can put. Make them colorful and flavorful. Just kind of use the rainbow of colors as a guide. So today we're going to have black beans, the white cauliflower rice, the red and orange bell peppers, avocado, which is green, and some cilantro, which is green. We'll have almost a full rainbow of colors. And just a little bit more olive oil because beans are dry on their own, so it's good to have some oil with them. And I think cumin would be nice to have with black beans, so I'm going to add a little cumin, maybe about a half teaspoon per can of beans. I have some homemade beans here because if you know me at all, you know I'm obsessed with homemade beans. I always have some in the freezer ready to use in recipes, and if I start running out, I make a new batch. So now I'll add The beans, if you're using canned beans, I would drain them first and then add a little water. Drain them, rinse them, drain them again, and then use a little water or broth when you're heating them up, because the sauce in the canned beans is not as good as the homemade sauce because of the way they're cooked. Right in the can, when they're canned, I think they're pressure cooked right in the can, which is very different than making them on the stove top, where you can skim the foam off and use seasonings and things. Okay, I think I'm gonna go check on the veggies, see how those are doing. They are getting there. They're getting pretty close. I'm just gonna give them a toss. They're getting a little bit crispy on the edges, which is nice. There's another few minutes and then we can make up the bowls. I do have a lot of recipes on my blog if you want to search that for some Valentine's recipes. I've got a almond flour chocolate cake. It's called dark chocolate olive oil cake. You could also make that with butter, but it is really delicious with a good quality olive oil. So I've got a nice chocolate cake recipe on there. I also have a recipe for chocolate truffles. That's 2 different recipes that are vegan, no dairy in there. What else would be good for Valentine's Day? I've got some fish recipes, a salmon, a couple baked salmon, and a pan-seared halibut recipe that you could use with any white fish. I'm not sure if I have risotto on my website because I have it in my Cooking Together subscription right now. But just take a look. You could put in date night. I think we have some date night recipes on there. Or any ingredient that you want to use in your fridge, you could plug in and you should be able to get some recipes in the search. Okay, so I'm just going to set up here to make the bowls. Let's see. Couple of bowls. You can use a steeper side bowl, but we get in the habit of using these shallow bowls because they're better for photographing. But a steep side bowl will keep it warmer, so you might want to use that in the cold weather we're having. We heard that it was going to be, I don't know, below 20 degrees in Austin by next week for the low. I don't know if it's ever been that cold since I've lived here in 25 years. The 25 years I've lived here. I don't remember it ever being that cold, so. Okay. As far as seasoning goes, I'm probably going to add just a little bit of salt to the beans. And I added a little bit of salt to the cauliflower, so it's probably okay. I added a little taco seasoning that had salt in it. You could squeeze a little lime on the cauliflower, or you can serve the lime on the side. I think I'm going to squeeze a little bit on now, just to give it a little more flavor. A little bit of citrus goes a long way. Okay. Check on the veggies. Hopefully I can bring those out so we can use them. Now, think, Nelson? I think they're looking good. Okay, sometimes I put a little tamari or cocoa aminos on these. I think today, since it's got salt and pepper on it, I'm just going to add a little bit of taco seasoning. I actually learned this from my daughter because she likes to make fajita veggies, and she made them with taco seasoning or chili powder, which I had never done, and it's really good. So you might want to try that. Okay. So let's make up the bowls. Can you see that okay? Start with some rice. And what you could do is have everything stacked together. I might make one of each, or you can have things, you know, you could have the rice in the center of the bowl and have everything stacked on top, or you can have things kind of side by side. Never quite know how it's gonna turn out. Just have to try different things. Sometimes I actually mix some cilantro in to the veggies. I'll do that right now. Make sure you get some of the different colored veggies. I'm going to overlap the beans and the veggies on top of the rice a little bit. And then, let's see, avocado should have a prominent place, maybe on top of the beans. I think one time I forgot to put avocado in my bowl, and that was very sad. A little extra. So I hope you'll go to my website, cookloveheal.com, and you can subscribe there. You can go to cookloveheal.com/subscribe or cookloveheal.com/recipes, and there are plenty of places to subscribe. I just put some salsa on. I'm trying to think how I can make this look a little prettier. I ran out of cilantro, so I'm going to put a little bit of parsley. Yeah, that's too much. Kind of challenging to make this bowl look the way I want to. I think I'm just going to mix in the salsa because that looked funny. Okay. So I'm getting really hungry. Maybe you are too. Maybe you'll want to make a bowl yourself. I hope you enjoy making cauliflower rice with fajita veggies and beans. And let me know how it goes. Maybe you want to share a picture with me on Facebook. And enjoy. Happy Valentine's Day.